ताने ना ने ना, ताना ने ताने ना ने ना, ताना ने ताने ना ने ना, ताना ने ताने ना ने ना. Today it is week 4. There is some interesting stories lined up for you, for your children, for your amma, for your appa, and everybody in the family. Stay with us for the next 30 minutes to enjoy and be along into the land of stories. And hey, there is one special story in Hindi for those Hindi-speaking audiences. Woohoo! So, can we straight get into the session? Oh, and here we go. Welcoming Shri Vidya Veeraraghavan from the story train. Hello. How are you all doing? Anybody there? So today we start the session with a Hindi story. Before that, last week if you had attended, I had given you an assignment to post a small mini workshop that we did. If you were able to complete that assignment, I'll be very happy to receive your feedbacks, your stories via videos or even audio. Mail it to storytrain@yahoo.com and we can post it in Storytrain page as well. Yes. So are we ready? So we start with a Hindi story. Hindi? All comfortable with the Hindi? Yes? Okay. This is a story like really, happened really long back when hunting was a very normal practice, yeah? कई सदियों की पहले की बात है जब राजा शिकार करते थे बहुत आराम से. ऐसे ही एक राजा जिनका शौक शिकार में बहुत ज़्यादा था, वे एक ना एक जंगल ना छोड़ते थे और अपने बंदूक, अपने तीर बाण से पशु पक्षी किसी को छोड़ते थे, सबका शिकार करते थे. दिन बीते, महीने बीते और सालों में आसपास के जंगलों में पशु पक्षी की गिनती कम होने लगे. ऐसे कि जब वो अपने घोड़े में जंगलों के लिए जाते थे तो उनके साथ आते थे उनके मंत्री और सिपाहियाँ. इन मंत्रियों में एक मंत्री जो थे, उनका मन तो बहुत दुख होता था कि राजा ऐसे पशु पक्षी का ऐसे शिकार करते हैं, मासूम इन पशुओं को क्यों मार गिराते हैं. इसलिए एक दिन वो सोच रहे थे कि क्या करें. एक दिन उनको एक उपाय सूझा. जब वो जा रहे थे शिकार के लिए, घोड़े में राजा आगे, पीछे सिपाही, यहाँ मंत्री. अपने जो ये मंत्री थे साथ में चलते चलते अपने घोड़े को धीरे धीरे करते रुक गए. अचानक आंखें उनकी गई पेड़ों के उस पार. राजा जिनको ये मंत्री बहुत पसंद थे, देखा इनके और पूछा, अरे मंत्री आप क्या देख रहे हैं. तुरंत अपने मंत्री ने बताया, महाराज वो जो पेड़ के ऊपर जो 2 तोते बैठे हैं ना, उन्हीं को देख रहा हूँ. तोतों को देख रहे हो? हाँ महाराज, उनकी बातचीत को सुन रहा हूँ. राजा तो बड़े चकित हुए. अच्छा, तुम्हें पशुओं और पक्षियों के भाषा भी आपको पता है? बताइए वो क्या बात कर रहे हैं. तुरंत मंत्री ने जवाब दिया, महाराज एक मिनट, मुझे ठीक से कुछ सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. और ऐसे उन्होंने नाटक किया कि जैसे वो सुन रहे हो उन तोतों की आवाज़. और उन्होंने कहा, महाराज वो जो एक तोता बैठा है ना, वो और ये दोनों शादी की बात कर रहे हैं. वो जो बैठा है ना दाएं तरफ, वो है बेटे वाला, और ये जो है ना, ये बेटी वाली. क्या पक्षियों के भी शादियाँ होती हैं हमारे जैसे? राजा तो बड़े चकित थे और उनको और जानना था तोतों के बारे में। मंत्री ने बताया, हाँ महाराज, दोनों तोतों यही बात कर रहे हैं। वो जो लड़का वाला है ना, वो पूछ रहा है तुम दहेज में कितने दोगे, दहेज मांग रहा है। और ये जो बेटी वाला है ना, वो बोलता है चलो जो मांगो बस दे देंगे। और ये जो बेटा वाला तोता है ना, वो बोल रहा था, अरे ये क्या मालूम आपको क्या पूछता है, देखो ये पूछ रहा है कि मुझे चाहिए 5 जंगल, मुझे चाहिए 5 जंगल बिना जानवरों के, जानवरहीन जंगल मुझे चाहिए 5। इसे सुन जो बेटी वाले जो तोता है ना, वो तो बहुत खुश दिख रहा है महाराज। देखो देखो वो क्या बोलता है, अरे वो बोलता है, अरे 5 क्या, मैं तो तुम्हें 20 दे दूं, जानवरहीन जंगल, बड़ी सी आसान काम है, चलो शादी पक्की करें। इसे सुन राजा को तो थोड़ा लगा झटका, बोले अरे जानवरहीन जंगल और वो भी 20-20। मंत्री ने तुरंत राजा को देखकर कहा, हाँ महाराज, मालूम है उस तोते ने इसका कारण क्या बताया? क्या? यही कि हमारे राज्य में एक राजा रहते हैं जिनको शिकार का बहुत शौकीन है, और देखते ही देखते हमारे ये जो आसपास के जंगल हैं सभी जानवरहीन बन गए हैं। बहुत जल्दी 1 दिन 2 दिन में बाकी सारे जंगल भी जानवर के बिना रह जाएंगे, पेड़ ऐसे ही खड़े रहेंगे, ना पशु ना पक्षी रह जाएंगे। इसे सुनकर राजा को तो होश उड़ गए। राजा को समझ आ गया था कि जो वो तोता किसके बारे में बात कर रहा है। हाँ, राजा को ये भी समझ आ गया था कि ये जो राजा थे वो कुछ गलती कर रहे हैं। अपनी गलती की समझ आने के बाद उन्होंने तुरंत मंत्री को देखा और बोला, रुको रुको, इससे जल्दी कि कोई और पक्षी दहेज के बारे में बात करें, यहीं से हम शिकार छोड़ देते हैं। और उस दिन से राजा ने शिकार करना ही छोड़ दिया। जंगल में जानवर, पशु पक्षी सब आराम से फिर से अपने घर में रहने लगे। धन्यवाद। ये एक कहानी हमारे हिंदी ऑडियंस के लिए। अगर आपको ये कहानी पसंद है तो हमें बताइए, आपके फीडबैक्स बहुत अच्छे रहेंगे। धन्यवाद। Okay, so now we go into those who did not understand what I was talking. I was definitely giving a Hindi story, and it was a quick summary of it. A king who loves hunting, and because the minister wants him to stop hunting, he kind of plots a story, and then the king realizes and he says, okay, I'm going to stop hunting. That's the whole story here. Okay, going ahead. So so today I do not see much of audiences here, but still I'm going to go ahead. So I have a very interesting 2 other stories. One story which I thought it's from Ramayana. Ramayana, who doesn't know, right? Who doesn't know the story of the Prince Rama and the Sita and their journey into the jungle and their story of how they defeated Ravana, right? It's a very popular story worldwide, but everybody knows the story. So what is the use of me telling it? Yes. So I have got a very interesting episode from Ramayana. A question to all my audiences. Tell me who was Lakshmanan's wife? We know Rama's wife being Sita. If children are watching, I encourage the children to give me the answers better. Who is Lakshmanan's wife? I am not able to see the chats immediately. Anybody? The answer? Lakshmanan's wife was none other than Urmila. Okay. Who was Janaka's and Sunanya's daughter? Yes, Renu, yes, it is Urmila. And who was Janaka's and Sunanya's daughter. It is indeed Urmila. No, not many know that Urmila was the actual daughter of Janaka and Sunanya, the king of Mithila. Okay, and during the Swayamvara, where Sita was to be married to Rama, Urmila and the other cousin sisters also got married to these brothers of Rama. Right? So yes, so Urmila, being a princess of Mithila, comes into the kingdom of Ayodhya and has a great love for her husband. Lakshmana also showered great love for his wife. They were in deep, they were so beautifully inclined towards each other's understanding. Everything was going fine. Till one day when Rama was heavily being asked to go into an exile into the forest, the Vanavasa, for 14 years. Sita pleaded, "Please take me with you." Rama agreed. Lakshmana pleaded, "Brother, take me with you." Rama agreed. And they started towards the jungle, but wait. There is something missing. Urmila, yes. Now Urmila pleaded Lakshmana, "Please, I cannot think my life without you. If you have to go, I will also accompany you." She pleaded heavily, but Lakshmana, so much of love towards Urmila, but he felt if he takes Urmila into the jungle, he may not be able to do his duty properly. He wanted to protect his brother, being a warrior, to take care of his brother and his wife Sita Ma. So he told Urmila that I will not be able to take you. Unlike Rama, Lakshmanan refused to take his wife Urmila along with him. And these three, they started off to the jungle, and we know the rest of the story, right? What happened to Urmila? If you check Ramayana story, you can read Ramayana story, you will not find a lot of instances or episodes of Urmila, right? Why was she? Because she was a very intelligent, very, able princess. And she had so much of love for her husband. But no much story about her. What happened to her? As Lakshmana was into the exile, and during night time, he built a small hut for his brother Rama, and he asked them to take rest inside and decided to guard them outside sitting during the night time, because deep jungle, lot of wild animals and even ghosts, so he wanted to protect his brother. So he sat up all night, awake, wide opened his eyes, looking around for any danger. By around really late midnight or so, he was awake, but his body was tired. His brain was seeking for a natural human being sleep. As brain was seeking for sleep, he ensured he creeps up and he stays awake throughout the night. And that time, a beam of light appeared in front of him. A huge beam of light that Lakshmanan couldn't even, see it properly. The light took a form of a Devi, an angel. She was well dressed in silk white robes, adorned with jewelries, and looked so pleasant. Softly spoke to Lakshmana, "You must sleep." Lakshmana looked at her. "Who are you?" "I am the goddess of sleep. You must sleep." Lakshmana did not want to oblige to the Devi, to the angel. He instead said, "No, I can't. I take an oath not to sleep for the next 14 years. Listening to this, the Devi, the angel, spoke, "No, but it is unnatural. You are a human being, and if you do not sleep, you will not be able to survive." But Lakshmanan was adamant. Instead, He prayed to her that please give me the power to stay awake throughout the 14 years. I don't want to sleep a single night, single day. I just don't want to get into sleep. Listening to this, Devi didn't know what to do, but she blessed. Blessed, but with a condition. She said, give me one name, give me one person who can take all your sleep onto their head. Immediately, Lakshmanan thought none but of Urmila. He said, please go to Urmila and ask her to take all my sleep. There she went, the Devi, to the Urmila's chamber, where her eyes were swollen, full of redness. She was crying the whole day and the whole night, having nothing to eat. She just was thinking about her beloved husband. As she was into her bed, thinking of him, there the Devi appeared in front of her and she told all what happened. Immediately Urmila pleaded, Devi, give me what my husband wants me to give. I want to share his burden. I want him to do his duty properly. I don't want any obstacle to create any issues for him. Please give me all the sleep he has to undergo to me. Listening this, the Devi granted the boon, and that minute Urmila went into a deep sleep for 14 long years, till Rama took over. He won over Ravana and came back along with Sita Devi, and as when Rama was crowned the king, till that time it is believed that Urmila was sleeping. Yes, the sacrifice or the unconditional love that she showered on Lakshmana. This is the story from Ramayana, an unusual story. I don't know if you are aware about it. If not, please, I thought it should be a treat to you. Okay, so I'll go with the next story. Yes? Can I go with one more story, please? One more story? I am not able to see the chats immediately. It comes late. Okay. Yes. So I'll go again with one other story from Ramayana. Okay? And this is children's special. Yeah, so any children there, I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Long, long ago, there lived a noble prince, Rama, in the Ayodhya kingdom. He had wed a beautiful princess called Sita. They were such an adorable husband and wife. One day, the father of Rama, Dasharatha, with the influence of his wife Kaikeyi, came to Rama and said, Son, you must go to the forest before you are given the crown to become a king. Rama, who was such a kind and obedient son, never said anything against his father and immediately obliged and left to the jungle, into the deep forest, along with Sita and Lakshmana. For 14 long years, it was a very difficult life that they had to lead. All fine. Everything can be handled. It was Rama and his bravery. But one day there came a huge Asura, the Ravana, from the land of Lanka. He came and took away Sita, abducting her back to Lanka. Oh, when Rama and Lakshmana knew of this, Rama was very, very, very upset. He was worried for his wife. He wanted to rescue, he wanted to bring back at any cost. So he started searching, where must my wife would have gone? With the help of many forest beings, he was able to pave a way towards Lanka. Yes, it was Hanuman especially who brought back the news of where Sita was captivated. Yes. So there, Rama, Lakshmana, and the whole army of monkeys and bears, with as a head of Sugriva being the army of monkey, everybody together wanted a war to be happen between Ravana and Rama, and they all started walking from north to south. They walked for many days and months and crossed steepy mountains and rivers and what not. And as they passed, finally they reached the southern part of the land. The southern part which ended into a deep blue ocean. The army had to cross the ocean to get into Lanka, the land where Sita was kidnapped, where Sita was waiting, longing for Rama to come and take her away. And there, the whole army stopped and they looked, knowing what to do. How can we cross this deep ocean? Thought everybody in that army. There were doubts. There were a bit of fear. And all these things. Suddenly, Rama came in front, and with the advice of Sugriva and Lakshmana, he thought we must do something. We must not demotivate our armies. He immediately started praying to Lord Shiva. And parallelly our Lakshmanan, who used to be such a brave, and he used to get furious at first, and he immediately looked at the ocean and said, "Hey ocean, you don't know. You have to pave way for us. You don't know about my brother Rama. He is very powerful. If he wishes, he can string a bow and all the fishes inside your stomach will be gone. Just pave way." The king of ocean was really scared that Rama is going to come into war and he is going to destroy the ocean. As he was sitting scared, Rama, on the other hand, was praying calmly to Lord Shiva. When he opened his eyes, he slowly walked towards the shore and humbly requested without using any of his power, any of his magic, he humbly requested the god of ocean, "O god of ocean, we wish to travel to Lanka to bring back my wife Sita. Please help us move towards that destination." Listening this, the god of ocean appeared in front of him and he just fell onto his feet and said, "Yes, certainly." And then he gave a small, he opened the ocean. Can you believe it? Yes, it can. It was happening. It is magical. Yes, the ocean was believed to open a bit for the army to walk. Yes, the era when nearly many millions of years ago, it was called Treta Yuga. In the Treta Yuga, where animals and humans were all very powerful, a lot of magical things used to happen in the nature, the ocean paved a way. But could they walk smoothly? No. They had to build a bridge. With the consultation of the Ocean King, they decided, yes, we must build a stone bridge. But who must do that? Not just any monkey can take a stone and build it. They wanted an architect. They wanted an engineer. Right? And then they looked for it, and there came a great engineer. He was also a great engineer. You know who was a great engineer, the architect during that time? Was Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma, who is known to have built the whole Lanka palaces. Yes, so his son was called, his name was Nala. So Nala came and then he, with all the architectural plan, and they decided they're going to build a very marvelous stone bridge. Stone bridge. For that, they wanted stones, and to bring the stones, they had to go near the steepy mountains and cut the rocks and bring it in huge in number. Yes, and the monkeys and the bears were so much in joy. It was time for action. They immediately went into the plan and they got many big rocks. Such a big heavy rocks from the nearby mountains and forests that they took it on their heads, on their shoulders, and they walked and they sang and they danced and they brought and then started building the bridge, which was a beautiful bridge, a strong bridge. And as they were building, as everything was so busy, Rama in discussion, busy with his team of what needs to be done, all was happening. On the very place, there was a tree. And just above the tree, there was seated a small, tiny squirrel. A squirrel trying, there was a small nut there. The squirrel was trying to crack the nut. And as she was knocking it, she heard a soft sound. She somehow, it was very familiar sound for her, voice for her, and she looked down. And when the little squirrel looked down, she saw Rama and Lakshmana. She had heard a lot of stories about this brave prince, and she said, "Oh, here I find Rama." And then her eyes went around and she saw the whole busy state there. She saw many monkeys bringing so many rocks, and she immediately heard the conversation. And then she thought, "Oh, what am I doing here? I am of some use. If the army can help, why not me? I must also be of some help." And thinking, she dropped the nut there and she came down off the tree. She ran towards the shore and she looked here and there she found this small, tiny, white, shiny pebbles. And she just took it onto her small, tiny hands. She took it like this and she started to hop and run towards the bridge which was getting built. And she ran, dong. And between two big stones, there was gap, right? She ran and she jumped onto the stone and she looked onto the gap and she dropped one pebble. And then again back onto job. She went back to the shore, picked small, tiny, shiny, white pebbles and to the gap. That was she was doing, going up and down and bringing the pebbles, just one pebble at one time. Yeah, she was bringing, you can imagine how many 1,000 times she would have gone here and there and got the pebbles to fill the gaps of such a big long bridge. Yeah, but she was tirelessly doing it. Her whole body was full of white sand. Her tail, the flowery, the bushy tail used to be thick. That was actually sometimes got smashed by the stones, was cut by the needle paws of the monkeys. It was cut. It would by mistakenly some would have stamped on the tail. So all those injuries was there into the body of the squirrel, but the little squirrel didn't stop. She went and she carried on to this job till finally there came a monkey, a huge monkey carrying a huge stone. And as he was walking, many monkeys were noticing this disturbance. Oh, what? Some small creature is coming and disturbing us, not doing the job properly. And then as this monkey came, he was really furious. He just looked at her and said, "Hey, move away from our way. Don't you know what important work we are into? Move away, else I will just smash you under my feet." And as he started scolding, there at the long distance, Rama was sitting. He was also observing all what was happening. He immediately came walking and he stopped the monkey. He said, wait, don't scold this little squirrel." The squirrel was really scared. She was trembling with fear. And Rama looked at her and with so much of love and compassion, with his hands, the fingers, he patted onto the back of the squirrel, softly, lovingly. As he kept the hands on her head, back, the squirrel felt comfort. She felt blessed. She looked at Rama and her eyes were still glittering, though her body was full of white sand and the tail was half cut. She was so glad that it was Rama who has come to her rescue. And Rama said, "Don't you see? This little squirrel has helped you indeed." The monkey was standing astonishingly. He didn't know what was happening. And then said, "See, the big stones that you are keeping, that is all fine. That is helping to build a good bridge. But what if the stones move? The bridge needs to be really strong. Yes, and to fill the gaps, you must fill it. And that is what my little squirrel is doing. May be very small deed, but a very important deed. So no deed is small, my army," said Rama. The monkey was already embarrassed. He felt, yes, and then he felt sorry and he moved away. The squirrel was thankful. And she continued, she bowed to Rama and she continued picking the little small white shiny pebbles back to the walk. So my dear children, no deed is small. A small help also means a lot. Hope you are helping your amma, appa. Hope you are helping your, whatever work it is there. Yes, don't worry whether you can do this or not. A small help can do wonders. Yes, just like the squirrel, keep doing your duty. And for the adults, yes, let's keep doing our job as well. Yes, so hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining me. Hope to meet you next week, final week. Yes, so we're going to have a great time next Wednesday, 4:30. So meet you till then. Thank you for joining.